Hey guys, Dr. Shook here. I want to ask you a question. Have you heard that this said before or read that thyroid hormone is a Goldilocks medication, or it's a Goldilocks hormone? Okay? Have you heard that before? Do you understand what that means? What it means is when something's like a Goldilocks hormone, it means there's a very tight range, okay? So laboratory value between where it starts to take effect and like if it's too low where it won't have an effect, and then you get into the narrow range and it starts to have a good effect and desired effect, and then you get outside of that range and, like, let's say you go high or you're getting dosed too much, you start to have diminished effect, or it can actually create problems where you feel hyperthyroid, or actually if it's too much, right, if you feel hyper, or it can even create this problem called thyroid receptor resistance, where the thyroid hormone's kind of bathing the receptors of the cell. So the thyroid hormone attaches to the cell DNA, stimulates the cell to function, and if you have too much thyroid hormone, it can saturate or soak that little receptor where the thyroid hormone attaches, and it makes it less sensitive to your thyroid hormone. So a Goldilocks means it's in between this there's a range, not too low, not too high, where it has the most beneficial physiological response. So I want to tell you this because it's important to understand this. I see a lot of people that, your doctors want to help you so much that when I see their labs, they're obviously their TSH shows hyper. You look at their T3, their free T3, and you see that they're like definitely hyper. Their total T4 will even be high in some cases, and it's really important to understand that is something that can cause you to feel worse. More is not always better, and here's the thing. There's this Goldilocks range, but so that's just considering the thyroid hormone, right? That's just considering the hormone dose. Now, what about all the other factors that will affect the way you can use a thyroid hormone? Because if all you're looking at is a variable, or the thing that you're changing, if all that is your thyroid hormone level, then I'm going to tell you you're going to have some problems, because you're going to have a really hard time correlating your thyroid hormone dose with how you feel and it being consistent, right? It might feel good for a little while, and then you don't feel good, and then you want to change medications because you don't think that one was working for you, and then you go because correlation, because, well, here's the thing. It doesn't mean that dose doesn't always correlate with how you feel. As a matter of fact, that's what we see most of the time, is that's all that's being considered, and that's not the primary thing they need. Not that they don't need more. They might need more, but they don't have. The problem is that they have problems like inflammation, poor conversion. They've got high cortisol. They've got all these other issues, or low cortisol, that are creating problems with actually using the hormone that they have. So let's say you're paying attention to this Goldilocks range and you're trying to find the right dose, but you have cortisol issues, you have inflammatory issues, and those fluctuate, right? They don't stay the same. I mean, you might have more inflammation for a period of time and then less. You might be under more stress and less stress. It's really hard as a person, for any of us, to always pay attention to all these different variables, and a lot of times you don't even know what they are, right? So you're not even aware of what the variables are that you need to be tracking. And so what happens is you take this dose, and it's this Goldilocks range, which is narrow anyway, not too much thyroid hormone, not too little, and then you've got all these other factors that will influence your body's sensitivity. So either that range can get a lot smaller, or it may just not be the problem with the quantity. It may be one of these outside issues. That's why you have to take a whole person approach to looking at this stuff. I hope this makes sense, because there are so many people that are really confused, and you know what? I'm sorry, it's complicated. But our bodies are complex, and the systems, everything's connected. I mean, the systems of the body are connected. They crosstalk through these like inflammatory messengers, or even they can be anti-inflammatory like cytokines. There's crosstalk. I mean, the systems do not work in isolation. The problem is that our healthcare system is built on isolation. We have experts that are really good at GI, really good at endocrine, really good at neurology, and all these experts, these specialists, and there's quite frankly some of this newer information, the things that I share with you guys, is not understood, and quite frankly it doesn't fit into the medical model, and that's that's a problem for the whole healthcare system to figure out. Like, I don't know how to fix that, because a lot of the services that are delivered and that these clinics, now I'm kind of digressing, that these clinics are based off of things that are covered by insurance, that are understood by insurance, that follow these best practice guidelines, which are all good. But the problem is that when you have the issues that we talk about, these chronic conditions, these are not things that typically respond to a medication, right? They're not typically medicatable. Their lifestyle, their diet, they can be things that need more advanced testing, more broad testing at first to understand like what is happening to this person. And that's not acceptable under the majority of the insurance practices, right? They want you to do less testing, more specific based on what the person comes in with, and then that dictates what they'll cover based on medical necessity. The medical necessity is dictated by best practice guidelines. Best practice guidelines are developed through research and consensus panels, and these are typically people that are coming from a medical based background, which is not bad, but they come from this medication. In a lot of cases, these we're prescribing or replacing a hormone or giving a medication or removing or performing a procedure is the protocol, right? Anything that's chronic or that's outside of that, they don't really have anything for it, and they're not bad people. They're trying to help you, but we need reform within this system because it doesn't accommodate the drivers of a lot of problems. So that's why I'm trying to teach you guys, and I'm really digressing here, but I want you guys to be, well aware and informed of what's going on out there, what you need to consider. This Goldilocks range of the thyroid hormone, there's a lot of other things that affect it. So it's not just always thyroid hormone quantity, okay? It really has a lot more to do with these other outside factors plus your thyroid hormone. So don't get caught up chasing a dosage, completely chasing a dosage. And then if you do have a dose that works for you, get your levels checked, and not just your TSH. Get your T4, get your T3. Look what your reverse T3 looks like to see if you're getting too much. If you're getting too much, then that can also be a problem. I mean, I've talked about in other videos, but hyperthyroid patients, people that are hyper have too much. So you can see this with Graves. You can also see this with overdosing on medications. They're at greater risk for fracture. That's in the scientific literature. The bone quality is poor, but the quantity is fine with those people. So if they do like a bone scan where they check the bone mineral density, it looks great, but it's brittle. The literature supports what I'm saying. Now, if you're hypothyroid, you tend to have like osteopenia, which is thinning, or osteoporosis, which is much more thin, and it becomes, it's obvious on an X-ray that there's loss of bone mineral density. So anyway, I'm digressing, talking about all kinds of stuff. But point is, Goldilocks range. Don't just chase the range. Get someone to help you figure out these drivers. I created all these guidebooks, like the 9 lab tests required to understand your thyroid hormones, and that helps you to understand your labs better. And I do like a whole video walkthrough, like a 45-minute video walkthrough of those if you purchase that little video that I do when you check out. But anyway, if you're interested in those things, just let us know and we can post links. But I just want to share with you guys, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot more than thyroid hormone levels. Please watch some of my other videos so you can become educated. And everything I try to teach you guys is what I teach patients on a regular basis. So I hope you guys have learned a lot. I appreciate you hanging around for my long-winded videos where I just kind of go wherever my mind takes me. And if you have any questions, post them below. But I appreciate you coming here to learn more about your health. Okay, thanks.